All right, guys, it's Irene again, talking faith, love, and trends. Welcome, welcome. We're talking Married at First Sight, maths, and this show reveals, the truth when it comes to marriage, especially with this episode that I'm talking about now. Women be ready and men be scary. Now, I'm not going to say all men, but all women, but for the most part, many. So women be ready and men be scary. Just keep that in your mind as we continue. And women are groomed all our lives to hope, expect, and prepare for marriage. Men aren't. They're groomed to try to be the man or attempt to be the man, where money, attention, and women, not a wife, but women, appear to be the goal. Now, today's woman is not as strong in her, I'll say, wifey skills because of the whole independence factor, being the boss, and not having a lot of male counterparts a lot in their lives, such as many of them have not had father figures in their lives. Many of them have not had constant male figures in their lives. So do we really know how to be the wife for someone that we don't really encounter? So it's a little different in this day and time where, even though we are still groomed in that way and we expect and hope for that, we may not get all of the education in our lives and lifestyles and experiences because a lot of failed marriages and relationships and being the products of that can be an issue. But for the most part, we're ready. And again, the men are groomed to be, try to be the man, so to speak. And again, like I said, the money, the attention, the women, this is what men think being a man is. But it's more character driven. It's more being good, being responsible, being respectful, being honest. These are really qualities of a man that men aren't really trained, groomed in, or prepared to focus on because of the men before them. So this is kind of the situation we are generally when it comes to relationships. And this show kind of exposes how we're basically not ready to get married, not great at being married. There are issues with marriage generally with our society and that need to be addressed. And this, I took it kind of deep there, but let's talk about the couples for this episode. They meet their friends. It's the housewarming. What stood out for me, Camille and Thomas, they seem to be doing the best to me so far beyond their cultural differences. Though they're the same racial makeup, they've had differing experiences. And Camille's sister put some things in perspective concerning being a black woman versus being a black man in society and kind of the different paths and the different ways that we are treated, our color and our sex. We're treated differently and defined differently in society due to that. So Thomas was grateful for her pointing that out. Is it me, or does it seem Camille's sister likes Thomas more than she does? Don't get me wrong, they're doing pretty good together, but I feel like that's a thing. I don't think anything will come of it like that, but that's what I'm seeing a bit. Akechi, to me, he's really showing his true face here. To me, he seems a bit weak, defensive, and a bit of a jerk. I'm sorry, Akechi. I'm being a little bit hard on you, but it starts to become more apparent during this housewarming, meet the friends. The friends come over and see, hey, how's everything going with your marriage so far? Again, this is Married at First Sight, where couples get married based on experts matching them up, getting all the data on them, and they get married literally at first sight. So Ikechi, he describes MMS aggressive. As the friends asked, what are some of the words that you would use to describe her? They were all good, but aggressive stood out. And her cousin comes for Ikechi once again, as he did after the wedding, which is her male cousin. And he's not showing himself to be man enough. He's even rude to her female friend. I believe that was her friend, who seems like she's ready to explode and possibly tell him a little something about himself. But she doesn't get right down to it, but she does, confront him enough where he then kind of in turn, to me, is a little rude to her. And being rude to women's never cool. So Ikechi's little charm wall fell down, And we get to see who's really behind that curtain, and it's not the Great Wizard of Oz. He's like, I'm not here for y'all. But are you here for him? Why are you here? That's my question. Alan Madison. Alan gets his rear kicked on some sort of stair climbing machine, hanging out with his bodied wife, Madison, and she's an avid fitness freak. She laughs at his struggle, but their bond seems to grow. In this situation, I'm Alan. Which one are you when it comes to doing all this working out? I was like totally feeling Alan. I would have been Alan in that scenario. I don't know if I could hang as well as he did. She kicks him out of the apartment the next day, but they did have like a little bonding moment because he's giving a lot. He's trying to work out, which is what she requested. I don't think he's a total slouch, but this is what she wants, so he's up for it. And I won't see a lot of people being up for it. I may not even be up for it like that. I mean, if my partner was like, hey, I need you to work out, I'm like, okay. It might be a once a week thing, but the levels that she wants, and he said he already worked out 3 or 4 times that week. I'm sorry, I probably would not be able to meet that challenge. And I wouldn't really be mad at myself or feel bad about it either. I don't feel like I should meet someone else's standard of what my body should be, as long as I'm healthy. And if I do say, okay, once a week, let's go and work out, then that should be enough for you. I'm sorry. That's me. Which one are you in the situation? Are you Madison or you're Alan when it comes to the workout thing? Are you able to keep up, I'll say. But she kicks him out the next day out of the apartment for a girls' spa day, which kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, they're bonding. She brought him breakfast in bed, which was really sweet. But then she's like, hey, you didn't have to leave because we're having a girls' spa day. And you could come back at 4. But what she's really doing is planning a secret birthday party with their friends. So it's kind of like a housewarming / birthday party for them. And it's another bond building moment. He thanks her and he's hugging her friends, hugging his friends and thanking her. And she's looking kind of emotional. So I thought it was really sweet. It looks good on them. But he wants more time. He lets her friends know he wants more time for them to just chill and connect and not so much work out, but just be with each other. And she's trying to figure out how to cross that line into the lovey-dovey man and a wife space. So that's their issues. She also expresses that to the girls after they have a fun but painful pulling old people time together. Playing flag football. So they were pulling muscles and all of this stuff because they're older. They're like in their 30s and up. Like no one's really old. And I think Madison's like 29. She's not even 30 yet. So after they play flag football, she's kind of expressing her feelings about how to try to navigate that space of, okay, now we are married and let's be affectionate and all that. But Alan didn't show up to the flag football thing actually, so she's a little bit mad at him because he got wasted from drinks from the night before. But personally, I think his body was probably busted from his last workout session with Mads. So she was mad he wasn't there and got drunk. And I thought to myself, but it's his birthday season still, right? Give dude a break. Though I don't drink or condone drunk life, but you get where I'm coming from as far as that goes. I don't know what his motives were, and I guess we'll find out next time. But that's their issue. Currently, that he didn't show up, he got drunk, and she feels like that's not sexy. All right, now let's go to David and Michelle. They actually didn't do too bad in this episode. Michelle's been struggling to connect, but their housewarming went pretty well. David's friend did confront her respectfully about her rejection level toward his friend. At some point, it may cause him to break. And I think with her friends, he was just trying to see what he could do to be more accommodating to her. And the friends seemed to be helpful in giving their thoughts on it. But David's friend also schools Michelle on the benefits of owning versus renting a home. Thanks God, because I feel like Michelle seems like she knows everything and she's doing so great in her life. But I think he kind of taught her a lesson, which I think was a cool thing. The two have been struggling to communicate due to their off schedules, but they managed to connect over a meal David made, and she praises it. So the men are cooking in this season, and they're doing pretty well. I see the men cooking more than the women. He also mentions he's been working out with Alan's wife, Mads. So I was a little like, oh, you guys are still working out, because I remember during the honeymoon, they just happened to see each other in the gym and they worked out together. So they're carrying it on into everyday life. I think they're in Chicago, back in Chicago. So I was like, okay. And somehow his type was mentioned again physically, which Michelle, his wife, is his type. They haven't been really connecting, but Madison, Alan's wife, is also his type as far as physically. She fits that bill as well, which is interesting indeed. They said a cheating thing will happen in this season, never seen before in the show's history, and I'm making a guess here. It could involve David and Madison, but Michelle and David, they did bond a bit over his meal, and they got even a little bit flirty as she offers David some fashion advice after he compliments her looks. So again, we're not really sure where we're going with these two, and I don't know if they're the ones that's headed towards that situation where cheating gets involved. Finally, Juan and Carla have a discussion in bed about their love languages. Earlier, they had a toga party with their friends, and everything seemed to be fun and cool. And, there are certain things that he realizes he needs to work on, and one of those is showing her compliments and whatnot. But after that whole situation, they're in bed talking about basically their love languages. That word wasn't said, but she's like, well, tell me how you would like to be loved by your partner. They're in the bed. This is the perfect time to talk about these type of moments. But, he says, their actions, like I cleaned up earlier and I did certain things for you around the house. So this is my love languages, which is not romantic at all, but he has the time to be romantic in this moment and switch it up. But he says, no, I want you to perform acts of service as I've done for you, and that's what my love language is. And she said, well, mine's is affection, after he said, he's not really the lovey-dovey, mushy, hey babe, hold hands type of guy. She says, well, I actually am that type of person, and I feel affection. That's what I want. So they're at a standstill at this moment when it comes to what they want and how they want to be loved. And she lets the girls know after they do the flag football couples hangout time that their love life feels like she's kissing her cousin. As he plants one on her cheek, she tells the girls this, again after the football thing. So it's like, they're just doing like little cheek kisses. It's like kissing your cousin at this point. The romance is not there. So I don't know, is this another sexless season of MAFS? It appears the men are weird and afraid to sleep with women that are actually their wives. Now, I understand it might be too soon to sleep with them, but there's not a lot of affection going on. But you know how people say after you get married, people don't want to be in the bedroom anymore. So I'm like, is that supposing to be true? Now that they've married these women, they have no desire. Though other women outside of this, there's a desire. Oh, if you're not married, they want to sleep with every other woman they see. But now that they have a wife that they can freely sleep with, there's a problem. It's somehow a turnoff. I'm not sure. It's at least with Juan and Akeshi's case, they're the ones that are really not showing the affection and actually verbally letting us know that. David, of course, couldn't get near Michelle with the 10-foot pole with all their issues with the fact that he's been in his parents' house and he doesn't have his own place. The miscommunications, the fact she just doesn't feel a connection with him at all. So with them, he can't even touch her with the 10-foot pole in the first place. And Camille and Thomas's little pecks may be the hottest scenes we see all season, because They're the only ones showing a semblance of affection on a consistent basis. So these are my thoughts here with when it comes to this episode of MAFS. When it comes to marriage, again, the women are ready, the men are scary. What are your thoughts, comments, questions? Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. That's cbiztv@yahoo.com. All the best and God bless.